Hello once again, my name is Daryl Kwao. In tonight's first story, government has assured that it would end the year keeping within its expenditure-approved targets. There are fears that challenges with revenue mobilization would result in a larger than expected budget overrun. But speaking to Joy Business after a stakeholder engagement with business leaders, Deputy Finance Minister Abnel Sayasari said that would not be the situation come December.
We are very, very optimistic about achieving our targets for the end of this year. Yes, like we said, we came to inherit a very bad situation, but we have made very good use of the little that we had, and then we have also built on it and improved on things. Inflation is now coming down, the currency is stabilizing, and we are within our targeted deficits. The challenge we have now is the revenues that are not coming in as it's supposed to come in. But we believe that with the coming into effect of so many things that we have, like the paperless...
that will improve the situation for you.
The paperless...
at the port.
At the ports. Yeah. Paperless business at the ports will go a long way to sort of increase revenue, because usually with revenue collection, you need to sort of reduce the human interference, and that is the only way you can maximize your revenue. So we are working on that one, and we believe that the taxes that in every regime, you have to make taxes compliant. You shouldn't make it so difficult for people to, pay their taxes. So we have removed the nuisance taxes. We believe it will take some time for people to get used to it and then fall in line. But we believe that by the end of the year, we would have achieved something good for us.
How critical are these engagements? Because there are some who've also argued that it looks like the Ministry of Finance has already made their mind on what they want to do. How critical are these engagements that whatever proposition the business will put on the table when it comes to even taxes, the corporate tax and the review and all those things, indeed, the ministry will take their concerns on board and then act?
Thank you very much. This is the first in the series of stakeholders meeting that we are having, and this one, it is backed by law, by the new PFM Act. So we have to consider every engagement that we have to consider all the discussions that come up in the engagement. And fortunately for us, this is backed by law.
Well, government is planning to spend some 54 billion cedis as against a revenue of 44 billion for this year. The engagements with various stakeholders are part of the ministry's plans to get the required views from industry and businesses ahead of the budget presentation in November this year. Now, away from that, the National Communications Authority the National Communications Authority has issued waiver fees application for mobile network operators to deploy 3G services to underserved communities in the country. This is aimed at supporting government's digitization agenda. The NCA today held a press conference to give some details to this initiative. Acting Director General of the NCA, Joe Anoche, says the NCA has provided all the necessary infrastructure for telcos to carry out this exercise.
These unserved and underserved areas which either two did not have what data currently have. And then they will apply. Maybe the first application might have, say, 50 rural communities, right? And then they go work on that. They come back again. We give them another authorization for maybe 20 or 30 or 50 or whichever many that they apply.
Any timeline for this, please? Any time? Have you given them timeline?
We met them yesterday. We are writing to them latest by Monday. And by Tuesday, anyone can come in and apply. And we assure them within less than 2 weeks, right, the application will be authorized.
What has been their reaction when you met
them? They are excited. They are excited. Some of them already were piloting. As we speak, some already had piloted and have had results. Right, and some are also in the process, so they're excited. I understand that, if you can do something at 50% less of the cost, it's always a good thing, right? It's always a good thing. Your current 3G, as I said, maximum 3 kilometers, right? But you can get the same data services with UMTS 900 going almost 15 kilometers. So a lot more, you are reaching a lot more people, right, using the same infrastructure, basically, because they already have paid for the 900 licenses. You see that they've already paid for it. And we are just allowing them to leverage on new technology within alliances that they had already paid for. And again, the government is also promoting digital inclusion. So the minimum we can do is to allow that process, right, facilitate that process. So we didn't think that it was going to be of any value adding authorization fee. But let's just keep going so that the work that the government wants to achieve by promoting digital inclusion can be done in a much more faster pace.
Moving forward, are you going to give further waivers and freebies? When you look at the waiver you are giving them, it's only for license. There are other hidden costs or charge taxes, and other stuff. How are you marrying those as well?
Again, we don't have a hand in the taxes that they pay. Taxes, everyone that does business in Ghana have to pay taxes. Anyone that work here have. So taxes is a general thing. But yes, one of the things we've tried to do is to provide a good ecosystem for the telecommunication infrastructure. And that's what we are trying to do. We are looking at many other areas within the whole ecosystem, and as much as we can do to promote the advancement of telecommunication in the country, you can bet that we do. We have a great team, we have a great board, we have an exciting minister, right? So we are happy that we are in a position to be of help. Yeah.
Ecobank Ghana says it is offering competitive mortgages at cheaper interest rates to prospective homeowners as part of efforts to help bridge the 1.7 million housing deficit in the country. This was made known at the first edition of the Ecobank Housing Fair held at the Aviation Social Center in Accra. Charles Aite has more in this report.
The Housing Fair forms part of measures by Ecobank Ghana to aid prospective clients with affordable housing services in the banking and finance industry. Morgan F. Asiede is the head of Legal, Human Resource and Compliance of Ecobank.
The task of providing good accommodation for the nation's working class is certainly enormous and cannot be borne by government alone. It requires the strong participation of the private sector. This is why we at Ecobank have taken it upon ourselves to create the platform that brings together real estate companies, value chain suppliers, potential homeowners, and other patrons of residential properties. This way, several opportunities and various ways of owning homes are presented, with Ecobank providing what we believe to be the best financing options available today on this market.
Shirley Donta is head of personal banking for Ecobank Ghana and Anglophone Africa. She spoke to Joy Business.
We'd like to encourage everybody to visit our stand so that we have all these kinds of conversations with them so that we give them what they need at the lowest possible cost.
Let's talk about interest rates here. How much is Ecobank offering? You're talking about Ecobank offering the lowest on mortgages. Help us understand.
Yes, our interest rate currently on mortgages is 27.95%. We offer mortgages up to a value of $400,000 and also a maximum tenure of 15 years. So depending on your circumstance, you may fall within any of the brackets. We are there willing to advise and help you.
Some patrons of the fair also expressed satisfaction about the event, saying it gives them the opportunity to own their own homes.
So far, most of the companies here are good with the arrangements and their setup. I feel good with it, and I'm new to this. I'm though a business owner, I have high ambitions of owning bigger companies, and it's new to me though, but I just like the experience.
Good, because it's not most of the people that get a chance to go to this, let me say, estate developers, and most of the estate developers we know are all, a lot of them are liars. Let me say 70% and 30% of them are good. So Ecobank coming on board with these people, we trust Ecobank, so they are coming with these people, we also trust them.
Exhibitors have currently converged at the Aviation Social Center in the wake of the EcoBank's House and Fair. The main aim for this very fair is not just to provide affordable mortgages for prospective clients, but as well to deepen and, of course, bridge the housing deficit in Ghana, which currently stands at 1.7 million. For Joy Business, Charles Aita reporting.
Let's turn to agriculture now, and rice production in Ghana has the potential to meet local and international demand in the next few years. That's the projection by Principal Research Scientist and Rice Breeder at the Crops Research Institute, Dr. Maxwell Asante. His comments follow the release of 6 lowland rice varieties developed by the research organization in Kumasi. Here's Kwesi Debra's report.
This is Akwatiala in Kumasi, one of the oldest and biggest local rice processing hubs in Ghana. Manager of the site, Reverend Isaac Asakwam, has been in the business for over 20 years. It was difficult in the past getting farmers and middlemen to patronize processing services here due to flooding of the market by superior quality imported rice. With the development of improved varieties, however, demand is gradually rising.
Because of the notion that, or the perception that the imported rice is made of plastics, so the demand for it now is very high. Again, the demand is high because the taste of the local rice is better than that of the imported rice, because we have so many varieties in the local rice.
The customers, of course, can't get enough of it. It's tasty, she says, very tender when cooked. It has lots of energy. Rice is the second most important cereal and major staple in Ghana, besides maize. Ministry of Food and Agriculture figures suggest current per capita consumption of about 40 kilograms per person a year is expected to hit 63 kilograms by next year. Unfortunately, the rice industry is characterized by low production, low average yield, and poor grain quality, resulting in heavy dependence on imports. The need to increase rice production by growing consumer-preferred and disease-tolerant varieties is ever imperative. Crops Research Institute breeders set out to develop new yielding jasmine and conventional U.S. long rice types which are tolerant to diseases in Ghana. For the first time, 4 out of 6 varieties released were wholly developed in Ghana.
They yield between 5% to 18% more than our check. That's the best variety in the system at the moment. Okay. The other thing is that for rice, grain quality is very important. So we are always careful to select for the grain quality that Ghanaians like. Ghanaians like 2 types of grain qualities: the jasmine type and the conventional U.S. long grain. That's the Texas and the number 5 type. The jasmine type will usually have low amylose content. It's between 15 to 18% amylose. And then the U.S. conventional long grain, the amylose content is between 19 and 22%. Okay, so we have selected for this level of amylose, so that it will give the texture and the taste that Ghanaians want. The other thing Ghanaians want is long grain and aroma. So many of these varieties are also aromatic.
Initial consumer acceptability tests has already been carried out in Kumasi in the Ashanti region and the Fife in the Volta region. All new varieties, cooked or otherwise, receive approval from consumers in both locations. The National Varietal Release Committee has also endorsed all 6 varieties for release onto the local market. Dr. Asante is hopeful the newly released varieties will help reduce Ghana's dependence on foreign rice imports. Reporting for JoyNews, Kwesi Debra.
Now, about 5,000 people have benefited from the Winners International Business Fellowship Program on Empowerment. The program, an initiative of Winners Chapel International, was to instill value in the skills of the youth in society and help them become entrepreneurs. on their own. The program, which has become part of the corporate social responsibility of the church, is expected to create employment for the youth in the country. There's more in the following report.
The Winners International Business Empowerment Program aims at equipping the youth with appropriate skills to improve upon their living standards. In an interview with Joy Business after the presentation of certificates and awards to deserving students who undertook the program, chairperson of the Business Fellowship, Ramatu Umanta, expressed optimism that the program is capable of reducing the unemployment rate in the country.
We expect people out there, the numbers of people who are loitering about, have nothing to do, to reduce on the streets. We are expecting these people that we are empowering to also go out there and help other people. You know, we don't live in a closed society. We have people that depend on somebody within the family. So we are expecting that it's not just giving individual the skills. We expect that as you are getting the skills, you'll be able to even teach your family members and be able to set up businesses that will go far, not just for Ghana, but to be exported. So you get even more money and take care of other people within your encatchment area, not just your family.
What is the motive behind the church developing business modules for society? Muyiwa James is the head pastor of Winners Chapel International.
Obvious. You go on the street, you see a lot of people that are jobless. A lot of people, they can't feel themselves. It can be very pathetic. When somebody, able-bodied man, able-bodied woman, you see husband and wife, they can't even feed their children. So we say, let's put this together so that they can learn something with their hands, with very minimum amount of money. And then you can see today all the product that came out. So if people are able to put this together, you can begin to imagine what will happen. So that's the motivation, so that people can be gainfully employed, free of charge, without collecting anything from them.
Participants were trained in dressmaking, beads making, and kitchen services, among others.
Now, Ghana should by September 23 know whether it can go ahead with fresh exploration activities on the Jubilee and 10 oil fields. This is because the Hamburg-based International Tribunal of the Law of the Sea has set a date to give its final ruling to the issue. Joining us on the line is Solomon Fache, he's head of the legal department at the University of Cape Coast. Thanks very much for your time. So the countdown is on to the 23rd of September. Remind us of how we've come to this point. All right, so we are trying to establish contact with Solomon Fache. He is the head of the legal department of the University of Cape Coast. Hopefully he'll speak to us about the ITLOS ruling that we're expecting, that is on the 23rd of September. You know, Ghana and Ivory Coast are, let's say, battling for custody of the Jubilee and 10 oil fields. We are waiting the outcome or the verdict of the court that is on the 23rd of September, while we try to re-establish contact with Solomon Fache, who is the head of the legal department of the University of Cape Coast. While we try and do that, let's move on to this other story. And workers in the banking sector have been advised to diversify their skills to minimize the impact of digitization on their work.
Well, you can't do without technology. You realize that now there are aspects of banking that does not even allow you to walk into your traditional banking hall. Technology is evolving, and that as people, that also opens opportunities for us to also enhance our skill sets so that the business needs diversify. We can also add extra talent, extra skills to ourselves to be able to divert in terms of what the business is offering. Now, there are opportunities that come also with technology. We are talking about agency banking now, which will give people the opportunity to even set up as small banks. Okay, having an industry or having that experience in there begins another opportunity for you, that if the employer that you work with is going into agency banking and you have the skills in there to manage that side, you can clearly redeploy yourself into that area and take advantage of the opportunities. You talk about the emergence of the mobile banking side. I mean, the telcos veering into areas of money lending and all that. basically is another opportunity that people are developing entirely. They are becoming mobile money experts now who traditionally were just IT specialists.
All right, so we can do our earlier story on the IDLOS ruling. As we've been telling you, we expect on September 23 to know whether or not Ghana can go ahead with fresh exploration activities on the Jubilee and 10 oil fields. Joining us on the line is Solomon Fachi. He's the head of the legal department of the University of Cape Coast. Thanks very much for your time tonight. So just jog our memory a bit, remind us of how we've come to this point.
Thank you very much. As you are aware, Ghana notified Cote d'Ivoire of a submission to arbitration regarding the delimitation of the maritime boundary between Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire on the 19th of September 2014. Simply put, what Ghana was saying is that they have not been able to amicably settle the delimitation of the maritime boundary with Cote d'Ivoire, and therefore the special chamber of the... Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, loud and clear.
Yes. What I'm saying is that because Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire had failed to reach an amicable settlement regarding the delimitation of its maritime boundary, Ghana proceeded to the Special Chamber of the International Tribunal on the Law of the Sea and notified Cote d'Ivoire accordingly on the 19th of September 2014. Following that, Cote d'Ivoire applied for provisional measures. Provisional measures here being that the status quo should remain and that Ghana should not engage in any further exploration or exploitation until the matter is finally determined. And as you are aware, we are expecting the final determination of the matter. The issues are very simple. The issue is whether or not indeed what Ghana considers to be the traditional maritime boundary, which is based on the equidistance principle, should continue, or the court should apply what we call the equitable principles and vary what the maritime boundary Ghana considers to be the maritime boundary. So these are the issues before the court, very clear. Are we going by the equidistance principle, or we are looking at what has come to be accepted as the equitable principle for delimiting the maritime boundary? And what are these equitable principles, which the case law suggests that, okay, we don't just use the median line, but what we are interested in that, let's look at the general direction of the coast. For example, we have to look at the configuration of the coast. We have to look at whether there are rocks, whether there are inlets, whether the coast is sloping. For example, if the coast is concave or convex, or it's not generally straight, then the court will say that the equidistance principle will not lead to an equitable result. Therefore, we have to apply an approach or a method that will lead to a more equitable result.
Okay.
So these are the issues before the court.
Okay, so let's look at the impact when the verdict is finally delivered. If it happens to be good news that Ghana can go ahead and do the exploration, what will be the impact on our economy? Otherwise, if it says, no, you can't go ahead, what's going to be the impact as well?
Obviously, Cote d'Ivoire is beginning to, as for example, allege bad faith. Cote d'Ivoire is saying that we were not supposed to conduct any exploration and exploitation during the pendency of this matter. And they are alleging that Ghana has so far been engaging in exploration activities, exploitation activities, and they are, for example, asking for compensation, what they call reparation from Ghana. That, for example, could be a consequence. The Chamber could, for example, rule that Ghana has been in breach of the provisional measures, and that means that Ghana will have to compensate Cote d'Ivoire. Obviously, the 10 fields are being drilled by Talu now, and the 10 fields are very close to the Western Bloc. If, for example, there is a declaration that appears to give some part of Ghana's continental shelf, what we know to be a continental shelf, to Cote d'Ivoire, then obviously it's going to affect our agreement with Talu. So, yes, of course, if it is positive, then we expect that it will not interfere with the activities of Talu on the 10th field, and that will be very positive for our investors. So we stand at a tipping point, and we hope that the tribunal will rule in favor of Ghana.
All right. Okay, thanks very much for your perspective on this issue, Solomon Fachi. He's the head of Legal Department of the University of Cape Coast. We want to attend to the other line because joining us right now is Duncan Amwa. He's Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers. We're going to talk about, if you've been following the news, you've heard of Hurricane Harvey that caused devastation in Houston, Texas. And if you were monitoring, you know that 2 refineries in that state had to be closed down. Now we're hearing that this could have an impact on us locally, and he joins us to explain. People may think, Mr. Amwa, that this is so far away from us. How are we going to be impacted by what happened in Houston, Texas?
Indeed. The global petroleum market is one that just depends on 2 quick variables, the demand and supply function of petroleum. What happens is that if there's a cut in supply by either a war situation or a natural disaster like we saw in Houston, Texas, the likelihood for production to suffer or the supply side to suffer is huge. And unfortunately, if you look at the American system, Texas is one of the key areas where you find most of the major refineries or most of the production units within the United States. And so once you have a hurricane that size that affects the supply side, what happens to world indexes is that you find prices keep going and soaring. And so it's not surprising that over the past 1 week, petrol has seen almost 17% increase on Platts. Diesel has done almost 13%. This indeed is quite worrying if we are in Ghana, where the net through or the pass-through effect on final pump pricing is felt. This can be only worrying for all of us here, especially at a time when fuel prices are already way too high for all of us.
Well, so at this point, are there any measures that can be taken to mitigate the impact of the price hikes on the global market and its effect on us here locally?
Indeed. If you look at Ghana's fuel pricing, what you call the price sheet, there's a variable on there that we call the price stabilization margin. We would want to encourage to kick in the price stabilization margin at this point. That money has been collected over the period, and some of the uses for that money is what we are seeing today, where there's a global shock, there's a sudden rise in global prices, and the Ghanaians might not be able to just afford any price at all. I'm sure that is why the price stabilization margin monies have been collected over the period. We would expect some attempt by government around this time to cushion consumers. Anything less, and I'm sure fuel prices will go way higher than we currently are already paying.
All right, Duncan Amwa, he is the Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, joining us on the line to speak about the recent storms in the U.S. and the impact on us locally. That'll be it, unfortunately, for Business Live. Thanks very much for your time. My name is Darryl Kwao. I'll see you same time tomorrow.